This is the second and final part of the videos I'm doing of my experience at Canada's Wonderland. This visit took place on Sunday, July 25th, 10 days after the first one, and well, this experience was much better. The park was a lot more full than the first time, yet the operations were actually a little better. To be completely honest, I think this is because of them finally stopping spaced out seating on trains, which made the lines move a lot faster than what they had before, and honestly has the operations much closer than what they used to be. Anyways, this intro is dragging on. Also, this video will probably be quite a bit shorter than the other one since I'm not going super in depth on the non-coaster parts of the day. Here's how it went. As soon as I entered the parking lot, I knew I was in for a bit of waiting. It was so much more full than our first visit, and was also unfortunately way hotter outside since it was 33 degrees or something, in contrast to the first day's 20-degree weather. At least there wasn't any downpour this time, so I guess that's a plus. The entrance line was about 40 minutes long, and ironically, it was one of the worst lines of the day. Entry was really easy, and nobody really had any problem with security or anybody at the front gate. Okay, in the park, there's too many people.
Yeah.
I saw the waiting line, it's like an hour, 45 minutes maybe, I don't know. This is gonna be hell. We started off the day by heading to Vortex, the Aero suspended coaster. This is revered as one of the better suspended coasters out there. Better than rides like Iron Dragon or Ninja, about the same as the Bat, but still not as good as some removed classics like Big Bad Wolf or Eagle's Fortress. Comparisons aside, this ride wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad per se, but it was pretty uncomfortable despite its aggressive and fast-paced layout. The biggest problems I had with the ride were the trains and the roughness. Starting off with the latter of the two problems, the roughness was to be expected. An intense layout, which is 30 years old, definitely has some noticeable jank to it. The trains in the station as a whole were definitely a bigger nuisance though. The trains were surprisingly crammed on one side and made me position my arm in a weird way. The park also forces you to bring all your belongings with you onto the train, and to my knowledge, is the only ride that makes you do that. It doesn't really make any sense why they have it specifically on this coaster, but it isn't that bad of an issue. No more complaining though, here's my real-time reaction to Vortex.
Alright, yo, we just got on Vortex. It's not that bad. One of the better suspendeds out there, but pretty rough. The turn after the drop was hella forceful though. Pretty decent ride. Probably gonna go to Yukon next, so let's see how that goes.
Next up, we hit Yukon Striker, the park's newest coaster, their B&M dive coaster from 2019. This ended up being the longest wait of the day, being just over 1 hour. This was my first ever dive coaster credit, and I absolutely loved it. It's glass smooth as expected since, well, it's a new B&M of course. The vestige trains were also way better than the reputation implied they would be, and only made my shoulders a bit uncomfortable rather than my whole torso. The first drop was great. It gives great airtime for the entire way down. The tunnel at the end of the drop below Vortex is surprisingly small and makes a really cool head chopper moment. The element afterwards starts normally, but has a weirdly strong pop of airtime coming out of the element. The unique 0G winder is the best moment of the ride for me, providing sustained floater airtime throughout the entire element. The last down element of the ride is the loop. Instead of slowing down at the top and loosening the positive Gs, the ride just powers through the loop, creating sustained strong G-force the whole way through. This ride isn't perfect though. The drop off the mid-course wasn't nearly the crazy standout ejector moment that it seemed to be, and just turned out to be a short pop of floater. This also sounds like kind of a nitpick, but the lift hill is extremely loud, and you can hear it from many other places in the park. The ops were also kind of slow, but were still a lot better than my first visit a couple days prior, and only had us stalled on the brakes for about 30 seconds. Great experience nonetheless. After that, we hit my most anticipated coaster, well, ever. This is Leviathan, the 2012 B&M Giga Coaster prototype. This ride's notorious for having some of the strongest feelings of speed on any coaster, despite it being quite short. Also, everything that other people say about the brake run is absolutely true. It feels like the world's longest set of brakes on Earth, or any planet for that matter. The ride surprisingly only had a 40-minute wait as well. On a normal ride that may seem long, but on a Giga, that's extremely surprising. This was also refreshing after seeing the 2.5-hour waits for the ride on our first visit. The ride also looks really good with its signature aqua green. It really does do a good job of looking like the Leviathan from Jewish mythology. Let's talk about the ride experience for a little bit too. The lift hill is surprisingly fast and almost feels like a mini LSM lift hill. The lift also never seems to end. We sat near the back row and the train just kept going up and up and up, it's crazy. The first drop's indescribable. 306 feet at 80 degrees is wild and has the drop going for a full 5 seconds. The tunnel at the bottom of the drop is freakishly small as well and makes you feel like you have to put your hands down, because if you don't, you'll never be able to put your hands up ever again. Wait, that sounds extremely dark. Oh my god, okay, I sound really scary there. Never mind that. The overbank turn shoots up right from that tunnel, and even though it's massive, the train flies through it and feels like it loses absolutely no speed. The The small hill after that gives probably the best airtime in the park, giving around 3 seconds of sustained ejector airtime with just a clamshell lap bar. The airtime hill after that is just your standard B&M floater hill on any average Hyper or Giga. The turnaround is no significant thrill, but it gets you extremely close to the front of the entrance, which looks amazing. The speed hill after that isn't nearly as good as the first one, but still has some good floater airtime. The last airtime hill is also the other standout airtime moment of the ride, providing sustained ejector airtime since the hill is surprisingly small for how fast the ride's going. Then, there's one final bank turn that throws you into the world's longest brake run. The only con about the ride is of course the length, but when every element's a standout element in its own way, length doesn't matter at all. Easy number one, and it's not really close. Finally, we come to the final coaster at the end of the day, the most memorable coaster of the day, but not in the best way. This is Time Warp, the stupid little yellow coaster at the front of the park next to the park's other dumpster fire coaster, Flight Deck. It's honestly weird to think that a 50-foot coaster can inflict an infinite amount of pain more than the 306-foot monster on the other side of the park. This Samperla Valere is bad, really bad. I already knew it was awful before I even rode it, but it had a 15-minute wait and curiosity got the best of us. The main problems with this ride are the trains and the transitions. These stupid little cages are probably the most uncomfortable things I've ever had to fully fit into. They also seem to have massive gaps between the wheels and the track, which cause the most idiotic rattle that has your head decimated by the end of the ride. The transitions are also absolutely brutal as well. The tiny hairpin turns are so painful and cause your neck to suddenly tense up, which causes literal pain for a good day or two later. This ride honestly borders between so bad it's good, it's absolutely awful, but it's still somehow hilarious. That ended our coaster riding day. Overall, it was a very fun day there and miles better than our first visit. The best part of the day was getting to ride Yukon Striker and Leviathan at full speed since I missed them last time. There was really no big disappointment. We couldn't ride Behemoth, but we weren't missing out that much since we'd ridden it last time. Also, there was no rain, which is very cool. This is the end of the Canada's Wonderland miniseries, and these were honestly pretty fun to make. This may take a bit to come out too since I'm going away for about 4 days, but I'll try my best to release this soon. Also, the first video has nearly 1K views, which is really exciting. Anyways, thanks for watching, please subscribe, stay tuned to the next video, bye.